Hey guys, I know some of you have been complaining about my voice, and I kind of felt the same way, so I decided to actually order a decent mic for commentary. Anyway, this is another 4th gen OU match. I'm going to lead off with Starmie while he leads off with Ambipom. I'm going to be forced to switch out against the fake out, so I'm just going to go to Jirachi. I am a Scarf Jirachi, so I'm going to be able to scare him off with Iron Head. But I was actually predicting a switch, so I used U-turn instead, hoping that he would switch to something else and I could U-turn out just to scout his team and get a little bit of damage into whatever he switched into, and he actually stays in and U-turns himself, so maybe he wasn't expecting the Scarf. I'm not really sure. And he does have Life Orb, so that means Ambipom is not going to stay around for too long. And I know that he's going to use Surf on his Starmie, but I am equipped with a Pasho Berry. It's a fairly less common choice than Shuka Berry, but I like it for taking care of water types in Starmie especially. So I'm going to just stay in Earth Power. It's going to do a pretty decent amount to Starmie considering Heatran has a really high special attack stat. Turns out he's not a Life Orb Starmie, actually a Leftovers. So he's probably going to be missing one of the moves in his arsenal, Surf, Ice Beam, or Thunderbolt. And I thought he might predict the switch to a Grass type and go for an Ice Beam, so I just switched in Jirachi on the Surf. Either way, it took it pretty nicely, but it lets me know at least that he is not an aggressive predictor, so I'm going to have to change my playstyle accordingly. I'm going to U-turn out as he switched into a Blissey. Now, Blissey is actually really out of place on his team because it's super defensive wall on his otherwise offensive team. I actually don't think that this was that great of a battle. Probably fairly average as far as battles go. I'm just going to set up Stealth Rock as he goes for the Thunder Wave. I was wondering if he would scout for Explosion, but given how he's played so far, I kind of doubt it, so I'm just going to go Explode right away as he sets up his own Stealth Rock. And I don't think Explosion is quite going to KO, but Blissey has a really low defense stat, so it's going to come extremely close. It doesn't really matter anyway, because whatever I send in, I'm going to be able to finish off his Blissey. And that's going to be really nice because I'm running a lot of special attackers on this team, so getting rid of Blissey will really let me open up some opportunities to sweep. Anyway, he's at really low health now, so I'm just going to send in Jirachi. I think U-turn will probably finish him off, so I was just going to go for that, not wanting to lock myself into Iron Head. And good thing I did, because he actually switched out for whatever reason, maybe saving Blissey for a death fodder later, and I U-turned out of Lucario, otherwise he would have gotten that boost from getting hit with the flinch move. And I go into Gengar just to check Lucario. He switches out into a Breloom, which is really not a good Gengar switch in at all, considering I just go for that Focus Blast. And Breloom is pretty frail overall, so he basically got a useless switch in because that just wasted his Breloom for nothing. And now he goes into a Weavile, his lead, and that's going to be a little bit annoying for me because I'm going to be forced to switch out of the Night Slash. And I'm actually going to go into Suicune at this point because Jirachi's at pretty low health and I don't really want to risk it taking too much damage, especially since Night Slash has that opportunity to crit. And Suicune is probably bulky enough for me to take any of his attacks, so I'm just going to stay in and actually just go for that Hydro Pump. I'm not really sure what he was going to do, and either way, he's going to take a lot of damage from Hydro Pump. Well, not a lot, but a pretty decent amount. I'm going to actually end up mispredicting here because I thought he would end up going for Recover, since almost every variant of Leftovers Starmie carries Recover. So I tried to set up a Calm Mind on the Recover because Thunderbolt really doesn't do that much after I get a +1 special defense boost. But yeah, that was basically useless because he actually went for that Thunderbolt right away. And I'm really not going to want to switch around in case he makes a prediction, although I doubt he actually would. So I'm just going to stay in and leave in Suicune to die as he finishes me off with Psychic. And he does get that Leftovers recovery again, but I'm going to be able to force him out either to switch or just to leave Starmie in to die because I'm going to be able to threaten him with that Scarfed U-turn. And he switches back into Lucario. Not exactly a good switch into Jirachi most of the time, although I am Scarfed, so as long as he switches into a U-turn, he should be fine. And I'm going to go into Shaman at this point. I think I am EV'd to outspeed standard Adamant Lucario. Probably not Jolly though, because I don't think I'm running quite that many speed EVs, and I go for the Earth Power just to check him, do a pretty good amount of damage, just barely miss out on the KO, and he actually sets up a Swords Dance, so that's not exactly so good for me. I'm going to want to save Shaman for later, but he actually goes for the extreme speed, which isn't too bad for me, because I mean I am EV'd for max bulk with 252 HP EVs, so it puts me at a maximum HP stat of 404. Since I am outspeeding him, he was pretty much forced to go for that extreme speed because, of course, close combat wouldn't really have done anything, considering I just would have outsped him anyway. And I'm going to actually keep Shaman in this time because I really don't want to switch around too much because his Weavile has the potential to pretty much 2-hit KO anything left remaining on my team. So I'm just going to stay in. The extra bulk really pays off now, that HP investment, because I managed to narrowly survive that Ice Shard, kind of like earlier where he narrowly survived my Earth Power with Lucario. And now he's going to switch back into Starmie. And whenever you're on really low HP, I'd recommend not switching out because you really don't want to risk the chance of your opponent predicting and managing to hit your switch for something that you didn't expect. So yeah, whenever you're on low HP, just leave it in to die most of the time. And I'm just going to go into Jirachi, finish him off with a U-turn. I'm guessing he's probably out of good switch-ins to Jirachi because he left in his Starmie to die. And I'm going to go into Gengar because it's pretty fast and has good coverage, so it should be able to deal with pretty much anything left. He's going to go into Ambipom, and I could be in trouble if he carries Pursuit, but he actually ended up using U-turn, so he definitely doesn't have Pursuit. And he goes into Blissey, which has hardly any HP left, so I'm just going to go for the safe Thunderbolt. Focus Blast runs the 30% risk of missing, although it actually seems a lot more than that most of the time, so I'm just going to use Thunderbolt. It's 100% accurate and should manage to KO him anyway. Doesn't really matter what I choose. So he only has U-turn left, and I am going to be able to finish him off at this point with Thunderbolt. So that is going to wrap up the game in my favor. Like I said, not really that great of a game, but good game nonetheless, and thanks for watching.